the Javari Valley Indigenous Reserve. 8 million hectares of Brazilian Amazon, the size of Austria. It's home to the largest number of non-contacted tribes in the world, photographed only rarely from the air. And it's here that 10 indigenous people were reportedly massacred last month by illegal gold miners who roamed these rivers. We flew 4,000 kilometers from Sao Paulo to Manaus to Tabatinga, and there by boat to Atalaya. There we met leaders of the reserve's indigenous tribes who agreed to take us there.
This is the reserve along the Javari River that borders Peru. Contacted and non-contacted tribes have lived here for centuries.
On our 7-hour journey upriver, we learned that the reserve is being increasingly invaded by outsiders: cattle farmers, loggers, hunters, fishermen, and miners. The latest reported massacre on this reserve is said to have taken place when members of a non-contacted tribe, men, women, and children, were looking for turtle eggs by the river. The alleged killers are said to have boasted that they cut up their bodies and threw them in the river, making it difficult, if not impossible, for prosecutors to find the evidence. We go to meet the chief of the MAIORUNA tribe, which was contacted about 50 years ago. Around 5,500 people belong to the reserve's 6 contacted tribes. Before speaking any further, Chief TOMI insists on putting on his ceremonial paint. He says his father used to kill the white invaders, but was persuaded by FUNAI, the state indigenous authority, to move the tribe into the reserve for protection.
It is better, but it's not good. We have people dying from diseases we didn't have before. I wish we could move back inside the forest where our ancestors lived. The outsiders are still killing people.
He shows us how he is prepared to fight the outsiders he believes are again trying to take their land and resources. Incursions by poachers and land grabbers have soared since Brazil's president more than halved the budget of the authority in charge of protecting and policing the reserve. The reported massacre of the isolados, or isolated ones as they're called here, are just one result, says Paulo Maruo.
The state keeps saying that what happened recently is not true. But how can they say that? They haven't sent anyone to where the massacre happened. They just overflew the area in a helicopter weeks later.
In Manaus, the prosecutor for Amazonas state concedes the government is leaving indigenous tribes, especially the uncontacted, almost defenseless.
If you don't place a barrier, an effective policing of the area, which is not happening now, the danger of these tribes becoming extinct is huge.
An investigation into the massacre is underway, but there's no guarantee there won't be more, as the pressure increases from outsiders, who believe they too have a right to land and resources, until now reserved for these Amazonian tribes. Lucia, Newman, Al Jazeera, on the Javari Reserve, Brazil.
And in our second report, we're going to be taking a closer look at how funding cuts by President Michel Temer's administration has left dozens of uncontacted tribes defenseless against invaders such as gold miners, ranchers and loggers.